It can be so hard when our gut isn't working how we'd like it to. If we're experiencing gas, bloating, discomfort, pain, maybe we can't even eat foods that we know are beneficial for our health because we just can't digest them properly. In this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips to help you improve your gut health so you can feel your best as you navigate through life. Step number 1 is to get in touch with your body. While there are diverse causes for issues with gut health, the most common triggers are foods and stress. So I want you to have a little bit of a think about what triggers you. Do you get worse after eating certain foods? Or maybe when you have a deadline at work or at school, when you're feeling stressed. Get curious with yourself and start checking in. Take some time to get in touch with your body. Because often when we have symptoms like this, it might be our body trying to tell us something. Maybe something's a bit out of balance and we haven't been paying attention to it. Maybe we've been powering through stress and not slowing down and allowing us time to digest our food properly after meals. Or maybe we know we're eating a lot of foods that aren't the best for us and they don't make us feel our best. So I invite you to take some time to get in touch with your body, and an amazing tool for this is the Food and Mood Journal, because it's just a way to get in touch with what you're eating and how you're feeling. And we might not have thought about this before, but as you fill it out, you might see that everything is written right there on the page and it all makes sense and you have your answers right in front of you. And I put a link in the description where you can download my Food and Mood Journal for free so you can get started right away. So tip number 2, understanding our food and how it affects our gut health. And in order to understand food, we need to get to know fiber. And fiber isn't that boring old thing that your grandma used to take to help keep her regular. No, fiber is amazing. It's in all whole plant foods and it feeds the beneficial microbes in our gut, giving them nutrients and sustenance to help them to grow and thrive and produce compounds that help to keep our gut healthy, to help reduce inflammation, and to help us feel energized and have generally good health. And so fiber is incredibly important for our gut health. Stick around to tip number 4 to find out more. But basically, some of us might struggle to digest certain foods. And when we're getting in touch with foods that we maybe don't tolerate so well, it's important to understand it's not necessarily about eliminating them. And while eliminating them can be helpful in the short term to help us understand if we eliminate it and bring it back, that maybe we were sensitive to that food, if we eliminate everything, we're missing out on the amazing health benefits of all of these incredibly healthy foods. You might have seen extreme diets like this online, where people basically eliminate everything from their diet. And they might feel better in the short term because they've eliminated the things that they were sensitive to. It's not really a healthy way to live in the long term because we're missing out on these amazing fibers to feed our gut health and just other nutrients that we need in order to have a healthy body, a healthy brain, have energy and feel good. And there's many different approaches to this. One of them is called the low FODMAP diet, which is a diet where you exclude certain foods for a short amount of time and then you start to reintroduce them and you can figure out what you're sensitive to. And researchers are also looking at other approaches. Even a Mediterranean diet may be beneficial for this. And when we're eliminating foods, we're eventually going to want to start bringing them back so we can experience the health benefits of eating a diverse, balanced diet. So stick around to tip number 4 to learn how to do this. The next tip is to be aware of our gut-brain connection. In fact, our gut and brain are intimately connected. In our gut, we have over 500 million neurons, which is more neurons than anywhere else in our body apart from our brain. This is what people refer to as the gut brain, or scientifically, the enteric nervous system. Our gut brain is connected to our head brain, and they're constantly communicating to each other. So essentially what this means is things that are going on in our gut can impact our brain, and things that are going on in our brain can impact our gut. And this can be really hard if you're experiencing issues with gut health, because we might not be feeling our best in our gut. That might be bringing some anxiety or stress. And then that stress and anxiety in our brain might be feeding back down to our gut and just creating this vicious cycle where each side is exacerbating our symptoms. So it's really important to take care of our stress levels and our mental health. There's many different strategies for this. Working with a therapist can be a good option if you have access to that. Doing things like yoga, meditation, breath work. There's amazing free videos and guided practices on YouTube. They can help us to slow down, relax, de-stress, repair this connection between our gut and our brain, and start to support our gut health and our mental health. So welcome to tip number 4. We're getting deeper into the topic of fiber because fiber is so incredibly important for gut health. If there's one thing we know about gut health is that people that eat more fiber and fiber from a diverse range of different foods, they have the best gut health. They have lower levels of inflammation. They have higher levels of energy, lower rates of chronic disease. Fiber is the key nutrient, not just for gut health, but improving your overall health. And there's many different types of fiber that come from many different types of food. We don't need to sit down and study them all and make sure we're getting them. We just need to make sure that we're eating a diverse range of whole plant foods, because whole plant foods are the only types of food that contain fiber. If we're eating processed foods, they've often had that fiber stripped away, and if we're eating animal foods, they don't contain any fiber. And why is this so important, and why am I always talking about this? It's because people in our modern society aren't eating anywhere close to the recommended amount of fiber. For example, we have statistics from the United States where 90% of women and 97% of men aren't eating the recommended amount of fiber. We're leaving a huge amount of health benefits on the table. When you're introducing fiber to your diet, it's great to eat a diverse range of whole foods, but it's important to be aware of the trigger foods that we talked about in tip number 2. If you're struggling when you're introducing new foods to your diet, make sure you go really slowly. Think of this as an analogy. Imagine that I've never been to the gym in my entire life. I go to the bench press, I put on as much weight as I can, I try lift it up, the bar comes down and crushes me. Now I could think, oh, the gym, oh, it's a dangerous place. It's terrible for my health. I got really hurt when I went there. But another way of looking at it is when you're a beginner, you start slowly. Maybe you start doing some push-ups. You don't go straight to lifting heavy weights. And it's the same when we're making changes to our diet and supporting our gut health. Say for example, we start to eat chickpeas and we've never eaten them before. We eat a whole tin of them. It's quite normal that you might experience some gas and bloating because your gut isn't used to it and you might not have the specific types of microbes for digesting those fibers, or they might be in lower numbers. But if you just start eating, it could even be 1 chickpea or a teaspoon of chickpeas. You start small, you gradually, slowly increase over time. You might be surprised at how you can handle it over time. As your gut adjusts, you increase the beneficial bacteria by feeding them the fiber, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you can eat these foods. Tip number 5 is fermented foods. Wild fermented foods, meaning foods that are naturally fermented, for example sauerkraut or kimchi, contain probiotics that can help to bring some new beneficial bacteria into our gut. They're also full of beneficial fiber and other nutrients that are great for our gut health. Think of foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, yogurt, kombucha, kefir. And this can be helpful as well if we're struggling to digest certain foods, because some of these bacteria might be able to start colonizing and creating a home in our gut and help us to digest these foods, because we might be missing these bacteria if we haven't been eating many whole foods in the past. And now for those of you who've stuck around to the end, I've got a bonus tip for you, and that is that change takes time. Remember to be compassionate with yourself. It can be so hard if we're dealing with issues in our gut. We might want to be better straight away, but remembering that it's a process. Taking small steps each day is going to help us to get towards our goals of being able to eat more food, a diverse diet, helping to support our gut and feel our best. And when we go online, there's so much information. It can be tempting to want to try every different thing at once. But if we're trying so many things, it can be hard to know what one's actually helping and what one might be doing nothing. That's why it's important to follow evidence-based recommendations like the tips I've talked about in this video. And just because something worked for someone online and they shared their story, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. This is why we have science, so we can look at a bigger picture and make better recommendations and help us to be healthier. Remember to have self-compassion and care for yourself, because this is going to help support your mental health, which is going to support your gut health. It's going to help you feel better and help you to make consistent, lasting change. I wish you all the best in your journey to improved gut health. And if you want to understand more about gut health and how it all works, then you need to watch this video next, where I teach you all about the incredible world of our gut health.